Well, I think in the interest of everybody's time here, let's just go ahead and get started. Good morning. My name is John Davis. I'm the principal with Simplicity Des Moines. We were formerly Davis Life and Annuity for about 40 years here, um, here in West Des Moines, Iowa. And first of all, thank you very much for your time. I trust that we understand your time is valuable, and we're going to provide some very valuable information to you today. Um, as I said, we have been a part of Simplicity for about 4 years now, and one of the great advantages that we saw in joining a group such as Simplicity is that we have, even though we've been experts in life insurance and annuities for many, many years, there's a lot of other things that can come into play. One of them that we dabbled in, but have not had some expertise in is long-term care. And I don't think any of us that have been in the business I've been in for over 40 years don't come across situations where there's a tremendous amount of need for long-term care. The world has changed a great deal, but it's a very often a misunderstood product and it's sold. There's been a lot of things that have happened that have disrupted that. And I think I've said before, is like one of the things that is so important is we in the insurance business have so many different tools available to us, but a tool is only valuable if you know what to do with it. And you need an expert craftsman that can show you how to use those tools. And we are extremely fortunate within Simplicity to have Don Quante, who is a extremely well-known expert in the long-term care and asset-based long-term care field, author, trainer, sales guru. And so Don is going to spend the next, I guess, around maybe 30, 40 minutes talking to you about this. And again, I think you'll find the material very useful, and then we'll follow up with you afterwards. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Don Quante.
Thank you, John, and thank you everybody for being punctual. We're really, really excited to work with John and his team. They're one of the true pioneers in the distribution of life and annuity, and we're happy to be able to add the long-term care to this today. So John spoke of tools. We're going to talk about several tools, and more important than the tools, I'm going to share with you how to use them. So we're going to start by discussing a little bit about what the Pension Protection Act is and how you can actually have your clients use existing non-qualified annuities and cash value life insurance to create tax-free dollars for long-term care. Towards the end of the presentation, I'm also going to describe a product that will allow you to use your IRA to pay for long-term care. So some of you may have got some messaging around that. You might have seen that. We're going to talk a bit about that. And we're going to talk about how you can now, believe it or not, provide a guarantee issue long-term care solution. It's approved in 33 states. And we want to talk about, hey, Sarah, could you help mute the lines? Somebody's typing. Thank you.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, so why we're going to talk about why this may be, I think, the best untapped market to fund long-term care. We'll give you some case studies, and we're going to talk about 13 states that are likely going to mandate long-term care for all taxpayers. Now, there are, with these states, they are at various stages. Some states are further along than others. You may already know that Washington State mandated people pay a payroll tax if they didn't have a long-term care policy in effect. That was in 2021, and they just started collecting the taxes, believe it or not. I think it's actually in July is when they begin collecting the taxes. So this is a real thing. It is sweeping the country. And so the ability to understand what's happening and get in front of it and have conversations with your clients makes sense. And then many of you I know are here because you were instructed that we would talk about a lead generation system. We actually have two of them that we're going to go through. And here's the best part of them. There isn't anything you can buy. You're not going to be asked to get a credit card out. These are real, true lead generation programs that do a couple things. Number one, they work and you don't spend any money advertising. So if I've got your attention, let's get started. We have 267 million life insurance policies in force in this country. When you think about the sheer number of those policies and how much cash value is in those policies, I believe if you're like John Davis and myself, you've been around a while. This is my 40th anniversary just a few weeks ago. And I can't think of how many times I came across somebody who had a $100,000 life insurance policy that had $96,000 of cash value. Well, when you think about it, that insurance policy has served its purpose. It provided them with protection, but now maybe that cash value should be repositioned into a Pension Protection Act annuity to use for long-term care. So think about the sheer number, huge opportunities all around. And I'm going to show you again at the end how to find those opportunities right under your own feet. All right. How about the cash value that's inside of annuity contracts and life contracts? 4.7 trillion. And then last but not least, while I don't have a slide on it, there's almost $8 trillion in just 401k, not counting IRA rollovers. The amount of money that's out there to pay for long-term care is tremendous. Today, we're going to focus a lot of attention on the Pension Protection Act. Now, while this is not a new law, it is one that many families still don't know about because most advisors don't spend a lot of time on long-term care. So we're hoping that we can appeal to you to change that and to at least have a conversation with your own clients and the people that are around you. So the Pension Protection Act went into effect 13 years ago. And here's what it says. You can take cash value from a life insurance policy or the cash value that's inside of a non-qualified, which means non-IRA annuity. So if you've got annuities that are out of surrender charge or pretty close to being out of surrender charge, and the client isn't using it for its intended purpose, which is extra retirement income, you've got an opportunity to really change their life and share with them how they could use this law. Now, what does it actually do? It allows you to do a partial or a complete exchange of the value of the accounts, including all gains. So principal, or what we call cost basis, and gains get to be transferred over on a tax-free basis. That's IRS 1035, and then withdrawn on a tax-free basis as long as they comply with the Pension Protection Act. And the two products we're going to talk about today do exactly that. Okay, so that's the overview. Here's a table that sort of illustrates it a little bit differently. If the client has life insurance, annuities, or even some long-term care policies that had cash value, you can transfer them to the Pension Protection Act qualified annuities all the way to the right. And again, take the money out to pay for home care, assisted skilled care, memory care, tax-free. So we talked about some really what we believe is a good law, the Pension Protection Act. Now we need to talk about one that maybe isn't quite so good, and that's this need for states to all of a sudden get into the business of mandating that people pay a payroll tax, a wealth tax, an income tax. There's a bunch of different things being floated around in 12 states. The 13th state is in green on this map. You'll see it all the way at the top on the left. So this is Washington State, and there were 650,000 people that bought insurance in 2021 in that small state. Now, that's not a large state, right? It's about the I think there's something like 4 million people in the entire state, and so to have that many people buy an insurance policy, guess what that did? It shut down every major insurance company in the fall of 2021. If you were having trouble getting a life insurance policy through underwriting, it was probably because of this new law in Washington state. So what they're trying to do is incentivize people to buy an insurance policy so they can avoid paying the income tax. I'll give you an example. If you were a software engineer in Seattle, and you didn't buy an insurance policy, the tax, if you were making $200,000 to $300,000 as a software engineer, you were going to pay a tax of somewhere in the $2,000 $3,000 range. That was the so that particular individual could buy a traditional long-term care, a hybrid plan, or some of the plans we're going to talk about today, and avoid that tax from this point forward. So there's, like I said, there's 12 states that if you don't have a qualified long-term care plan, you're likely going to be paying some type of new tax. And so we think there's real wisdom in you getting in front of the consumers, getting in front of the curve, and letting them know what's going on, right? You're coming across as a thought leader this way, and you're able to say, we don't know for sure what's going to happen in Illinois or Missouri, where I'm at, or Colorado, and we don't know if it's going to happen in any of the states that are in gray on this map. However, if it happens in one place, guess what? Each state then says, here's a way to raise some extra revenue and reduce the burden that Medicaid is causing on our state coffers. So let's go for it. So we wanted to bring you up to speed and let you know what was going on. And there are companies as we speak making decisions to build products that can be issued. Are you ready for this in an hour or less? What we're going to talk about starting out today is a Pension Protection Act annuity. This is issued through Equitrust. It's called the Bridge. And what this does basically is it takes a new approach to long-term care. It's what we would call a almost instant issue. You can issue the policy within an hour and be approved. And then they add to it a science-based wellness program that gives the client extra benefits for being healthy. Now they use a digital underwriting process, and the way it works. Let's see if the video is going to show here. It may not work in. Yeah, it's not okay. So let me just stop here and say what happens if you applied with your client. You would apply right by the side of them, and you would call a number and then bring up what they call assured ally on the other end of the phone. This is in essence an underwriter. These are medical or nurses, that type of thing. And they would begin to ask your client a series of questions. They would have them do a couple mobility tests, like stand up, move your hands above your head, touch your nose, things of that sort. They'll do a quick cognitive screen. The call will end and they'll notify you by email immediately what rate that the client qualified for. Because this is guaranteed issue, it's not a matter of if your client's going to get coverage. It's a matter at what level. So think about this for just a second. You can say to your clients now, look, I know your mom might have some health issues, but we have a guarantee issue long-term care plan that we can help her with. The ability to schedule appointments should be off the charts with this product. So let me give you an example. This is just a simple quote pulled from their calculator, which is online, and our friends at Simplicity Des Moines will get you hooked up with all of the things you need, including this calculator, pretty much immediately. So here's a 65-year-old, and this person is okay. They're healthy, but they don't want to go through a physical exam. They don't want to be stuck with a needle, and they don't want to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get an answer. So guess what? it makes a lot of sense. You can say, look, within an hour, I'll have an answer for you. And the answer will be you'll get coverage. The question is at what level? So we have preferred. So what you're seeing here is the client puts in $200,000 from an existing annuity or cash. Remember, this is non-qualified money we're speaking about right now. So what do they get? They get pretty much from day one a pool of $363,000. Then what happens is you look at the average age that somebody's going to need care. The claim age is 82. What will happen is contractually guaranteed this pool of long-term care will grow to $770,000. Put another way, it will provide your client with $12,836 of tax-free money. And hopefully you love this, cash benefit. So cash benefit means they can hire whoever they want, friends, family members. Maybe it's somebody through their church. They can certainly hire home health care, licensed agencies. They could hire assisted living, memory care, whatever. So the ability to take an asset that they're not using now, move it from the left pocket to the right pocket, you will make all kinds of difference for the clients that you serve. And here's the beautiful part about it. When you do that, you'll get paid fairly. So let me share with you Joe's scenario. This guy's got $600,000 in an IRA. He's got checking. He got turned down 6 years ago. So you might say, oh, Don, there's no chance he's going to get this. But what he got turned down for were things that the Assured Ally and Equitrust don't care about. Now, this guy wants to stay at home, and he said, if I get sick, I'll use that annuity. So what we explained to him is we say, look, what we could do is we could take your $200,000 existing non-qualified annuity and do the 1035 exchange, and immediately we end up with $600,000 of coverage. It gives him $10,171 of tax-free benefit. He can use it for home health, assisted living, and nursing home. And again, he could hire a friend or a family member if he wanted to. Now, I'll just go kind of quickly through the illustration, but I wanted to point out a couple of things. You'll notice that the amount being rolled over is $200,000, and I've highlighted guaranteed values. I think you are doing your client a big service if you always talk about the guarantees first, because in this scenario, no matter what happens, this guy will never, at age 70, he'll have $10,000 of long-term care benefits for a 5-year period, or a higher amount, even under the guarantee. Now, because this is a indexed annuity, and the underlying indexes can determine what your accumulation value is, what will happen if this is done right, and you pick some good indexes for your client, is the death benefit actually will grow significantly. Okay, it will also change the long-term care benefit, but can you imagine saying to a client, look, you've got lazy money sitting there in a non-qualified annuity, you're not using it for income, let's move it over and let's solve this problem for long-term care. And I know you don't want to go through a big hassle. I told John Davis one time a while back, I said, John, the Amazon effect has finally hit insurance. He said, what do you mean, Don? I said, I went home. My wife called me at like 10 o'clock, a couple months back, and said, Don, we bought some new towels. Now, I don't know why we needed new towels, but we got new towels. And I said, that's fine, honey. Well, 4 hours later, I have to go back home for a file that's on my desk, and I trip over an Amazon box going into the front of the house. And I said, what's in the box? She said, the towels. I said, didn't you order those at 10 o'clock this morning? So see, the general public, I believe anyway, are conditioned now to expect immediate gratification, immediate decisions. So with this product, what you're able to do is within 1 hour, I mean, while you're sitting there with the client, okay, if you do calls virtually, that's okay. They could be in your home, their home, you could be at the office. You're going to be able to affect big change for these clients, okay? Again, I just showed the values of it. And then when you look at returns, there are some actually really good indexes inside of this long-term care annuity product. The one that I was showing was the Barclays Focus 50, and the back-tested most recent 10 years was 8.49. So you could have a real nice scenario for your client. And oh, by the way, you get paid fairly on these cases. John mentioned that I had been pretty successful at this. I did run a retail practice for 20 years. We generated between $1 million to $2 million of new commissions every single year in St. Louis, Missouri, offering products not like this, because we didn't have this, but things that were similar. And what we learned was that if you add a case or two a month like this, it changes your economic state of affairs in a hurry. And you've got these kind of clients right under your feet. So let me move forward and I'll pick up the pace a little bit since you get the gist of this. So we got a second guy. This guy's got family business that was sold. He's got an original annuity. And we teach advisors, if you're involved in the training program that we have, which is free to you as long as you're working through Des Moines and John and his team, you'll get our training for free. But this guy's got some health problems. And so he was taught to ask 3 questions. If you got sick and needed care, where would you want to receive your care? Well, guess what? 88% of the people say at home. This is what this guy said. What asset would you liquidate first to pay for care? He said, the darn annuity, I wish I'd have never bought it. So we said, well, let me ask you, if there was a better way to use the annuity to pay for long-term care, is that something we should take a look at? Nobody's going to argue with that question. So he says, well, sure. So here's what you can simply do. You could simply explain to them that you started with $200,000 in an annuity. It grew. And by the way, this could be any type of annuity, fixed, indexed, or variable. 200, it grew to be worth 400,000 over the 15 years you've owned it. And so now if you withdraw the money to pay for care, guess what happens? The old LIFO rule, last in, first out. And as advisors, even if you've been at this 10, 15, 20, 30 years, oftentimes we forget some of these basic principles, which is that when you withdraw money from a non-qualified annuity, you have to do what? Pay income tax on the gains first. So the last in, which was interest, is the first out. So we explained that to Bob, and we're like, look, you're going to have a $200,000 gain. However, because we know things most advisors don't know, Bob, what we're going to have you do is do a IRS 1035 exchange. The $400,000 is going to move over tax-free. And even though you're not the healthiest person, Bob, we're still going to get you a $600,000 pool of long-term care. It's going to give you 10 grand a month of indemnity benefit, which is another way of saying cash that you can use to hire a friend or a family member or a home care agency, assisted living or nursing home. So guess what? You will have Bob's attention if you show him how to avoid taxation and increase the value of the account by simply going through a virtual interview and providing him with a approved policy within 60 minutes or less. Okay. So this is just the calculator. And of course, on that case, because it was 400,000, you generate a fair $36,000 commission. These are great cases. Again, you probably don't have 100 of them in your book of business, but you probably got 2 or 3. All right, so let's move forward. We're going to talk a little bit about lead generation. I'm right on time, John. What we're going to do after lead generation is I'm going to share with you one other product that can create lifetime income for long-term care for your clients, whether they have IRA or non-IRA. So up to this point, we've covered non-qualified money and the Pension Protection Act. And as long as they have a cash value life insurance policy, money in the bank, or an annuity, everything I just said you can do. Now, lead generation programs, we have two of them. The first one's a free book campaign, and the second one is a survey system. So I just recently finished what I think is my third and final book. Some of you may have read Don't Go Broke in a Nursing Home. That became a bestseller 13 years ago. This one, while it's not a bestseller, it is designed for you as the advisor to use. So it's tax-free benefits for long-term care in a post-COVID world. It has information in there that is really meaningful to people who've gone through COVID. We normally would charge $397 to co-brand this, which means put your picture on the back of the book with your bio. We are going to make this available to you. It's the first time we've ever done this for free. We've always, up to the 2023, we've always had to charge. But again, one of the benefits of you being involved with Simplicity is there are some great programs, lead generation programs, that you can get for free. So we will co-brand this book. It takes the marketing people that John has on his team about 48 hours to turn one of these things around. So once you get properly licensed, or if you're already doing business with them, you can get access to this right away. And this becomes one of the best calling cards. We'll create the e-version of it, the ebook, and you'll have it right away for free. If you then want to print copies of it, you can certainly do that, okay, and have a hard copy to hand out. There's a lot of ways to use it. We won't go into all of that today, but just know it is worth having. It will help you get some sales. So let's talk about another free lead generation system that doesn't require you to spend one penny on advertising. If you think about it, in order for somebody to become a customer, or what we call a promoter, that's somebody who refers you, they first have to be a stranger in your life. You have to get them to visit your website or come to a webinar or seminar. They turn into a lead, and then you work real hard to make them a customer, right? So what happens is when some new shiny object comes along, everybody jumps to that, and they spend money, maybe in some cases unnecessarily. What we've done is we've said, let's just take the best person that you could ever have, or the best people, and that's people who are already customers, because they know other people who could use your services. And if it's done right through a survey that you're going to see, they will shower you with referrals like you can't imagine. One of the guys that we work really closely with, Scott Mazinko up in New Jersey, sent it out to 800 Medicare and Medicare Advantage clients. So if you're in that business, pay attention, because he said, I don't know, Don, if this is going to work. He had 275 positive responses to his survey, which means they were great opportunities. So here's what we did. We created a 3-step process. How it works is you take your unconverted leads. So that's anybody who you would like to be a client, but they're not yet. Now, we're not talking about cold lists. We're talking about people who would know of you. Maybe they've been to your seminar or webinar. Maybe you've already met with them, but they didn't hire you as their financial planner yet. That group, and then all of your existing clients. Okay, what you want to do is identify those people between the ages of 50, and now we should go up to age 89, because we have some long-term care products that can be issued through age 89. We want to identify those people, and then use something like Constant Contact, MailChimp, maybe use Redtail. It doesn't matter what email provider. We're going to provide it to you in the way that you need it to fit into your email server. Okay, so What happens then is you upload those names, and then something called the 2023 long-term care survey is sent to them by your email. And you simply then follow up under step 2 by phone and schedule opening interviews. Watch this, only with people who want an appointment with you. We're going to help you identify, if you've got 300 people on your list, we're going to help you identify the top 10, 15, 20 that raise their hand and say, yeah, I'd love to sit down with you and talk more about that. All right, so here's what this looks like. The survey can be ran 2 different ways. One is a contest. This one says win a $100 gift card. What it then goes on to say is complete the 6-question survey. And by doing so, you'll help us understand how people feel about this very important topic of long-term care. And as a way of saying thank you, we'll enter you to win a gift card of your choice. Okay, they start the survey. The gift card program that I ran in St. Louis was receive a gift card. So I gave away a $25 gift card for anybody who was willing to complete the form. Obviously, you get a better response rate on this, but either one works really well. We've had people give away a free book. We've had people give away a gas card when gas prices got as high as they are now. There's a variety of things that can be done there. So here's what happens. The client sees this. It came from you. They know you. So they go ahead, yeah, I'll help, my agent with this survey. So they start the survey. And the first question they see is, do you have a spouse, parent, or loved one currently receiving home health care, assisted living, or nursing home care? Now, let me stop right there. You may not know this unless you've been on some other training that Simplicity Group has done, but we are the only organization, major IMO organization in the country that is offering a solution for long-term care even when people are already in need of care. I'll put it another way. If you have a client now whose parent is in memory care, or they're having issues at home and they have to have somebody take care of them, you have a prospect, you have a product. We don't have a lot of time to go into it today, but what I would ask you to do in the chat, a section of this webinar, just type in immediate care, the words immediate care plan, immediate care plan, or ICP, and that will remind John and his team that when they visit with you that you've got some interest in that product. It's basically a long-term care annuity for people who are already in need of care. So that's why that question's important. The next question is question number 2. Do you have a spouse, parent, or loved one who in the past needed care? Now, why do we care about that? That is your second best group of prospects. Anytime you meet somebody who's in their 50s or 60s and they have experienced what it's like to write a check for $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month to pay for mom's care bill, you have a great prospect. I mean, you're speaking to the choir, so you want to know that. So we asked that in the survey. Next question is we ask, if you got sick and needed care, where would you want to receive it? 88% of your people will check the at-home box. If you got sick and needed care, which asset would you liquidate first? Believe it or not, a fair number of them are going to say IRA, which is why I'm going to finish our presentation up talking about a way to use IRAs or non-qualified annuity to get a lifetime long-term care plan. All right, so those are the 4 questions. And then the 5th one is, would you like to receive free information about government tax incentives? Okay, well, we have this law called the Pension Protection Act. Guess what we did at Simplicity? We wrote a white paper about the Pension Protection Act. That's the government tax incentives. The white paper is ready to go. All you need to do is ask John and his team at Simplicity Des Moines for access to it. And if you're properly licensed, they have a treasure trove, I should say, of these kind of great resources. So most clients will check that yes. Then we ask them which card they want. They put their name and email in there. And then what comes up next is the lead directly to your email. Most of the guys I work with have, their email go to their phone. So they're surprised. Their phone starts pinging. They're getting, 6, 8, 10 emails. So if you were to roll this out tomorrow morning, and it can't be done quite that quick, but I'm giving an example. Tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, you'd have leads and people would be checking them off like this. And then you might be sitting there saying, okay, Don, I wouldn't know what to say though, because I don't do a lot of long-term care. Don't worry. Because like John said, at Simplicity, we have a team. There's 11 of us. This is all we do. Eat, drink, breathe this stuff. And we work on behalf of John and his team at Simplicity Des Moines. So we've got a phone script. We tell you exactly what to say. We have a fact finder called the crystal ball. We teach you how to ask 3 questions. If you got sick, where do you want your care? What asset would you liquidate? If there was a better way, would you want to know it? And then what we do is we have you fill out a simple fact find. You send it through Simplicity Des Moines, and then the team that's underneath John and them is this group plus another 5. There's a total of 11 of us that will be supporting with everything from licensing, contracting, managing the new business of the applications. So what we're interested in doing for you, for your client, is to start with this idea that there are plenty of choices every time. So if we find out what kind of money the client planned on using, we could then go through this resource, and we could start with 2,000 companies, quickly get to the top 100 that have top financial ratings, that have been around at least 100 years, and then get to the point where you could then review the 3 finalists out of top companies like these listed here. Okay, so we would review those findings with you, and we would even prepare a custom proposal for you and your client. So this one was for Susan Jones. And why this is important is this shows the relevance of a lifetime long-term care plan. Now, this strategy could be funded with either IRA or non-IRA. So when we asked Susan the question, if you got sick, where would you want to receive your care? She said at home. So we know that the average cost of care in St. Louis is $60,000 for home care, and the average number of years is 4.1. So we need $250,000. So we then ask her the second question. All right, so you have lots of assets. Which asset would you liquidate first? And in this case, she said her annuity. She could have said IRA, but she said her annuity. We said, if we could show you a better way, would you want to know? She said yes. Well, what if we could move the $247,000 of non-qualified annuity, and you could get a big bucket of tax-free money, maybe even unlimited? It'll cover all forms of care, and if you don't use it, you don't lose it. It's not your money that qualifies you for this, Susan. It's your health. So we have her complete a simple health questionnaire. And this is what you would work on with your clients. You would, at this point, schedule the follow-up interview and send it to our office. What you would get in return is a picture page that looks like this. You see, it's a lot easier if I sit down with a client and say, Susan, instead of liquidating all of your assets, we figured out a way to transfer some of your non-qualified annuity, the 247, tax-free, and create an unlimited bucket of tax-free money. This will give us $8,600 a month, Susan. That's over $100,000 a year forever. And you know what, Susan? If you don't use it, you don't lose it, because your annuity premium is always there. So let me just stop for a second. There isn't anybody on this call that can't do that presentation right now. So what we've got really good at is customizing things and getting them to a point where it's hard for the client to say no. Now, with this particular product, this happens to be the One America Indexed Annuity Care. This is a example of non-qualified money going in here, but it can also work equally as well if it were qualified money. Okay. What happens with this plan is very interesting. On the guaranteed side, the actual value of the long-term care benefit monthly goes from $8,600 a month to $12,500 at age 82. Why do we pick age 82? Because that's about the average age that somebody begins needing care. We have a process in our overall sales system where we'll teach you how to use what I'll call the driver's license ending or close to close the sale. I would say something like, the only thing we need to do now is to get your health information that I've already gathered from you into the online system. In order to do that, though, I need to get a copy of your driver's license. Can you go ahead and get that out for me now? Believe it or not, nobody ever says no. This is close to 100% closing ratio. And we owe it to the clients to help them with this, because this is one of the things that if this goes wrong during retirement and they didn't talk to you about it, you're going to feel bad. They're going to feel bad. Their kids are not going to be happy about it. So again, we owe it to them. All right, so we're at the point where, John, believe it or not, I'm right on time. We've got 4 minutes left, and you might be like this guy saying, all right, Don, what's the catch? I love it. I want more training. I want access to your video library. I want all the tools. I want the lead generation systems. What do I got to do? It's real simple. There is no money that can buy you this. It's you doing business with Simplicity Des Moines. It's even simpler than that, because they're going to ask you, if you call them and you say, hey, I want to work with Don's team. I want that team of 11 to help me with Al Stockwell in John's office. They're going to say, all right, well, we need to take a look and see if you're licensed with Equitrust and One America. And if you're licensed with Equitrust and One America with Simplicity Des Moines, you're good to go right now. Just reach out to your person. If you're not, then what you need to do is you need to call the 800 number, and I would do that today. And the number is 800-747-5612. So what you're going to tell them is, look, I want to have access to all of the lead generation, the training, the systems, all of the brochures, the forms, the entire long-term care system. I need to get appointed with Equitrust and One America. And that pretty much concludes our presentation. So John, I'm going to turn it back over to you for closing remarks and anything else that I may have forgot.
Oh, thanks, Don. Appreciate it. Great information. Like Don said, we've got a lot of things here. You can call us here. The phone number's on the screen. If you would prefer a call back, please type into the Q&A box your phone number, and I'll make sure that one of my team members reach out to you. Again, so many valuable things here that Don talked about. I mean, with regard to guaranteed issue long-term care coverage, or even if you're in the nursing home. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that just didn't exist in the past. The free ebook, all of the different value added that Don has, and as he said, those are all things that are the benefit of being contracted and working with Simplicity Des Moines. So again, Don, thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
Again, we'll be, I think there was if I missed any questions, we'll follow up with you directly. I know the session is being recorded, so there will be a playback for that. So you'll be able to see all the slides and all those things. And again, just thanks so much, everyone, for your time. We'll give it another minute here if you want to type in your phone number. Again, if you already have a Simplicity Des Moines marketer, you can feel free to reach out to them, Brenda, Jamie, and Al. If you don't, we will assign, we'll get somebody to reach out to you. And again, feel free to call in. So thanks again, Don, for your time. Always do a great job. so much great information. So
Thank you, John.
yeah, so take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and we'll hopefully be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.
I do want to let people know that we do have some questions in here. We will be following up with you personally on those. So thank you, everybody.